Hi guys, we're back. I hope you enjoyed our activity all about me, and just as a way for me to get to know you and for you guys to get to know one another. We are going to go into our next activity, which is really important because this connects directly into what we're going to be doing this week as part of our actual class. So let's start off with mission patches. The mission patches that you see on the screen are from the Apollo era missions, and that would be the time from 1960s into the early 1970s, and actually the mid 1970s. So if you'll notice that they all have a very unique design. They're absolutely beautiful patches, and if you look at all of them, every one of them is different. There's nothing that is exactly the same about any of them, and that's what we're going to be working on. We're going to create a crew patch, a mission patch for the mission that you're going to be doing this week, which connects directly to the wastewater management limitation and our recycling design challenge. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, and then we'll move on in just a second. So let me go ahead and change screens, and then we'll head from there. Okay, in the mission patch that you see in front of you right now, you will notice that the crew, there was a crew of 7. And by the way, before I forget to mention this crew served on the space station, and the space station is in lower orbit. It's a laboratory in space, and it's in what we call lower orbit. It's about 402 kilometers above Earth's surface. So just kind of keep that in mind. So you will notice that there are 7 astronauts. And if you look at the patch, you will notice that there are 7 stars. So everything, there is symbolism that is directly in the patch. And this symbolism just simply means that there are things on the patch that are symbols that represent what's going on in the real world or in real life. So 7 astronauts, 7 stars. If you look in the background of the astronaut picture, you'll notice that the sun is on the horizon. And then if you notice on the patch, the sun is on the horizon. The reason that this was so important for this particular mission is these astronauts had an early morning departure. So when they took off, when they launched, and that means takeoff, when they launched at sunrise, which was very unique because that didn't happen. Usually launches are done midday, like in the or late morning or early afternoon. So that's kind of important right there. The other thing that I want to point out on the patch is if you notice these gray doors, that is called the payload bay. And the payload bay, normally when it would launch, the payload bay doors of course would be closed, and then when you get to space, those payload doors open. And in this case, you'll notice on the inside, this blue thing is called Leonardo. And this mission took place at a time when they were adding to the space station. So this is a crew quarter, an area for the crew to live, and it is called Leonardo. And every component on the space station has a name. So this one is called Leonardo. So these astronauts took this to space, and then they actually they added it to the space station in space, which is really kind of cool if you think about it. So let's go ahead and move on, and then we'll get into what we're going to be doing. So I think we've got everything on that one. So let me change screens again. And you'll notice that the patches, let me move the image out of the way so you can see the patches. The patches are not always circular. They're not always triangular. They are different shapes. So you can be creative. I will give you some templates to work with. And let me get the camera back on. So I'm going to give you some templates to work with, and then you can design within those templates. You don't necessarily have to use the templates I provide. You can go ahead and get creative with your crew. And again, I said it with your crew because you're going to have to work as a team. So let me have you look at a couple more, and then we'll talk about what we're going to be doing. Okay, and again, I don't think it changed. There we go. And again, we have different shapes. You'll notice that the astronaut names are written on the outside of the patches, including this There's a patch here from the Chinese Space Agency, but you'll notice a lot of times the astronaut names are listed on the patch. And this is from the Russian Space Agency, just to give you an idea. There's plenty of patches. There's a very long history of the patch in the space program. Okay, and on this one, you will notice that different shapes again, lots of color. You can see down here, you can see the United States, and you can see the Hubble Space Telescope. And that was actually, this mission was one of the groups that actually went up to space to fix the Hubble Space Telescope. So that was an important mission. And then you'll notice that there's lots going on here. So we have lots of things that you're going to be doing. So let me change screens one more time. And let me share a couple other patches with you so you can get some ideas. And then I'll give you your actual challenge. So here's a patch. Again, they're not all the same shape. You can be creative. So this one's quite unique. And then we have this patch. I think I'm holding it crooked. There we go. And again, you can be unique with your shapes. And this one is very different. This one is probably one of my favorites, and I never hold it the right way, so I always have to think about this. So give me a second. There we go. And one of my all-time favorites, partly because I've gotten to meet some of the astronauts that went on this mission. Here we go. Okay, so now let me explain what you're going to be doing. When you're part of a crew, the crew works together as a team. The crew relies heavily, they rely on each other, because if something happens in space, you can't just run to the store and get a part. You can't just go and you can't go on computer and say, oh, do you have this part? And you can't do that, so it doesn't work. So in this case, you have to be creative, you have to think, you have to talk, and that's where we're going to be working this week. We're going to be doing a lot of things together because you are going to be designing things starting tomorrow. So we're going to do some review today, and then tomorrow you're going to start designing and building, and we have a lot lined up for this week. But what I need you to think about now is, as you design your patch, everybody needs a chance to talk and contribute to the patch design. So everybody has to take a turn. And then what I need you to think about is, if you look at these patches, there are things that make the patch, they're things that bring people together. They're common factors. So I need you to think about that as well. What do you all have in common? What brings you together? So it could be that you all like durian on your pizza. It could be that you all like soccer. It could be, find something that connects you together. So once you do that, then design the rest of the patch around it, because you need to find something that brings you together first. And I'll go into the next part. I'm going to tell you what your mission is, so that way you have an idea of what else you might want to add to your patch. Okay, so you can put your names on there. Shapes, you're going to get some templates to decide on shapes. Lots of color. You've seen all these patches have lots of color. So use your colored pencils and get creative. At the bottom of your paper, you're going to notice that I'm asking you for, why did you pick those designs? Because if you think about it, everything on these patches, there is a reason it's on the patch, and there is significance or meaning behind it, and that's called symbolism. So that's the part that's going to be really important. So you need to talk and take your time, and then do a little bit of writing as to why you picked it, because maybe I'm going to ask you, why did you select that? And you're going to need to tell me, because I want to know why you picked it. Okay, so now let's get back to it. Remember, this class is all about wastewater management and things that create problems in that whole system. So I want you to think about that, and I want you to think about engineering, because engineers make things better. They design things and they make things better. So we're going to be doing lots of activities, so kind of keep that in mind. So we're dealing with water, which is important because everybody needs water to survive. So your mission deals with water. Your mission deals with engineering, designing, building, fixing, repairing, making things better. And then it deals with space. So think about all of those things wrapped up in one as you come together to design your patch. If you have questions, please make sure you ask. Again, common conversation. Make sure everybody has a chance to take a turn at speaking and contributing to what your patch is going to look like. Okay? Everybody has to work together because you're going to be crew and you're going to space. So I hope you have fun with this activity. I can't wait to see what you come up with for your mission patches. And of course, if you have any questions, please be sure to ask so I can get them answered for you. We'll move on to our next activity in a little while, and that next activity gets us into thinking about water right away because we need to start getting our designs built and planned out. So I'm going to let you have fun with this one first, and I'll check back in with you later.